Hi everyone, I hope you're well and surviving the heat wave, and things are hotting up in the UK, but not so much in the transfer market for Fulham. Jack, how are you doing? Are you melting?
No, I'm okay actually. There is a fan on the background. Apparently, it's not been picked up by the mic. Big, hot weather in the UK. Not so big and hot with Fulham FC right now. And Joe, it's so frustrating because after all the positives of last season, I don't want to go into this season on negative energy, negative feelings. So let's dive into whatever we've got to talk about today.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about another confirmed arrival that's happened since our last video, which was a couple of weeks ago. We've got the same sort of names floating about as last time. Things didn't move quite as quickly as I think we both anticipated. I think that's fair to say. And a couple, maybe one, maybe two new names to throw into the mix as well. But I think what we should talk about first is the fact that Fulham played two friendlies weekend just gone in the world famous Algarve Trophy, which I'm gutted that we couldn't get our hands on. The first game was against Nice on Saturday night, and the second one against Benfica on Sunday night. I think it's fair to say that the first one was a bit more throw in the kids and see how they do, with a couple of experienced heads in there. And the second game, maybe the exception of one or two players, was this is as full strength as we can go right now. How do we fare against, let's face it, very, very strong opposition who are slightly ahead in their pre-season preparations? And the answer for the second one was not very well at all, I think it's fair to say. But Jack, firstly, did you watch the games and what were your thoughts?
I didn't watch the Nice one. I was in the pub. But I was following it because penalty shootout. I wanted to see who would be taking and the outcome, and obviously we won that. Happy days. I did watch Benfica, and I think I turned it off just before Mitro scored. I think I'd had enough. I think Love Island was on at the same time. I was like,
Yeah.
We've lost this game. But I was all ready for it basically on I can't remember what day it was now, Saturday or Sunday, whatever it was. I was basically ready for the game, had it all set up, looking forward to watching Fulham and Palhinha and Pereira and see how they perform. And, I kept banging this drum, but 2 minutes into the game, we were controlling the ball quite well. We were playing some nice, neat 1-2 passing. I was thinking, oh, here we go. And then we could see the first chance that Benfica get. There's an element of perspective, quarterfinalist of last season. It is a friendly. There was a meltdown on Twitter, and I would like to just talk about that briefly. And this is what's been slightly getting on my nerves the last 2, 3, 4 days since that Benfica game. I don't like the negative and repetitive feelings that I am feeling, and a lot of fans are feeling before another Premier League campaign. And especially after one, obviously like the lockdown one, it was different because the transition into the new season was so short that the panic basically started, 2, 3, 4, 5 days after promotion. Whereas we've had all this time after such a wonderful season, and now, Forest are doing what Forest are doing. Bournemouth I don't know what Bournemouth are doing. They're not. We won't talk about them. And we're not getting things done. It was like 2 weeks ago. I remember we had about 5 or 6 players lined up, and I was thinking, if we get them all in, we're looking in great shape. And I think since then, like two of them have signed, albeit 3 with Solomon, who's basically there. What was your thoughts on the Benfica game? Just go back on the performance itself. Sloppy, lots of mistakes. Tete, Brian were both really poor. Nice to see Mitro score. Nice to see Pereira get an assist. Palhinha was okay in parts. Worrying, but it's a friendly. I'm not going to take it too seriously. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, similar. So I actually watched the Nice friendly, and I didn't watch the Benfica one, but I have seen the full highlights back. So I haven't got the full picture, but I've seen the goals, and trust me, that was enough. The Nice one was good because it was interesting to see a few of the young guys play, and defensively looked really good, and I was impressed with them against much poorer opposition. And then Benfica, as you say, you sent me a message 3 minutes in, to the group chat saying, guys are playing so well. And then as I was reading it, I saw you were typing again, and it was just 1-0 Benfica. And from then, it seemed like the floodgates opened. And on the highlights, as you say, I mean, Tete in particular seemed to have an absolute car crash of a game. And And for all the shouts online that you've seen about Tim Ream and stuff like that, I mean, he wasn't alone in being poor. And just based on the highlights, I didn't see Tim Ream responsible for a single goal. Maybe he was poor in terms of his overall performance. I haven't seen the full game. I can't comment. But the first goal, I think you can put down to several defenders, not just one. The second goal, Tete's man. The third goal, Tete's side. The fourth goal, Tosin's man, I believe.
Yeah.
And the fifth goal was Tosin and Brian just really cocking it up. The good thing is that this is a friendly, and that is making me slightly calmer. But as it stands, this is the team, and in particular the back four, maybe with the exception of Joe Bryan, that would line up and play Liverpool if we don't make any new signings. And, Pereira, I was quite impressed with. We should talk about him briefly. He signed. We pretty much covered him because we knew it was going to happen. But it was good to see him, and it was a great ball in for the corner for Mitrovic's goal. And to be honest, he looked like a good addition. He was slightly deeper than I expected in terms of the team. And I wonder if he's going to be in quite a box-to-box role on one of the sides of Palhinha. Solomon was in the stands for the Nice game. I mean, I'm sure he was there for Benfica as well, but he was pictured. Let's just say it now. It's done. He'll sign on August the 1st. Everyone has said it. But just so you know, that is done. Either like the Shakhtar Donetsk's CEO has told us that he signed the contract. It was today. But they just can't announce it until the 1st of August, which seems a little bit ridiculous, but this whole deal has been a bit ridiculous, so I'm just going to roll with it.
It's annoying he doesn't get preseason minutes then, isn't it?
It is annoying. And there was a rumour that he played in the behind closed doors game against MK Dons. But, what good's that going to do in terms of that compared to some other games against, Villarreal, against Estoril on this coming Sunday? I think what this really showed is that as much as I'm happy with the players that we brought in so far, more needed to have been done. And the time that we had is slipping away, and it's not done yet. Look, we've still got, at the time of recording, over 2.5 weeks until the Liverpool game. And there's plenty of time for things to happen, and things can happen so quickly. We're linked to a numerous amount of players, which we'll talk about in a second. But what does worry me is that we don't seem to be in that much of a different position than we were in maybe a week ago or even 2 weeks ago, when we knew Palhinha was joining, when we knew Solomon was joining, when we knew that Pereira was joining. And since then, things haven't really happened. We're still haggling over a fee for Leno. We're still haggling over a fee for Diop and for Mbabu, although that one seems to be personal terms issue. It's almost not worth talking about them because we're in the same position as we were at the last time we're recording. And that does worry me because everyone could have told you, even if you weren't watching many Fulham games last season, that the area to focus on was the defence. And the fact that we haven't got one yet does concern me, and really want to make sure that we've got one in. I mean, I want one in for a centre-half to partner Tosin in for the Estoril game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Villarreal is now more realistic. But even so, then that's one full competitive-ish game before Liverpool when we're going up against one of the most attacking teams in the division. And then we've got Wolves, Brentford, Brighton, like massive games. And it's so weird because we sat here 2 years ago and we said, oh yeah, we've got Arsenal first game, but then we've got who was it second? Leeds, and then we had Villa, and then we had Wolves. And I was like, I can't believe it's like carbon copy. It's the same.
Just add fans and add high ticket prices, which has angered everyone. But I'm not at like that low point where I'm like, we're going to mess everything up. It's going to happen again, blah, 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 because there's still time. And
what does give me hope as well, Jack, is, as you say, there's still time, but also the players that we're being linked with, it doesn't seem scattergun to me. They're high caliber, and I feel like there are alternatives if we can't get them that will still be high caliber. But it's just the timing thing.
And there is a point in that Shahid Khan interview he did with the club with Ivan Berry, fantastic interview, however you want to perceive it, that there are FFP constraints. Again, there will be issues, which is why we retracted that £7 million for Solomon, because we knew we could get around it for a free, which is why the Leno deal is taking so long, and the Diop and all these deals. And, it's good. It's all well and good doing that because we want to keep the club secure FFP wise, but we also need bodies in before that Liverpool game. I just hark back to the centre back. We were here 2 years ago. Need a centre back. Got Joachim, Anderson, and Tosin in far too late. Albeit they were good. We didn't stay up. We went down. Albeit we had Scott Parker as manager, Marco Silva's, I think, much better manager. But again, it all sort of ties into the same theme that we saw 2 years ago. That's like the only negative feelings I have about the club. Obviously, the ticket prices as well that I have right now. Still no kit, but the training wear is very nice. It's quite overpriced on the website. But in Babu, it's so weird because like usually like now it's like the middle of the week. It's Tuesday today. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of deals flying, but there's nothing. There's not really anything in terms of. I mean, Maxwell Corner yesterday was linked.
Yeah.
On a loan to buy, but Burnley don't want to do that. They want to sell him, up front for 30 million or 25 million. It's just all a bit slow and a bit dour and a bit like, oh, hurry up and get something done. But I can understand it, with all this FFP issues. I sort of haven't really made a point here at all, Joe, but it's where my head's at, really.
Yeah, no, but I agree with what you're saying. And when you say about slow, it's spot on. If you think that Leno, we were linked with before we signed anyone, and Babu, we were linked with before we signed anyone, we're still here talking about the same players. The fees are not astronomical at all. It's just a bit strange. And the Mbabu deal has got to be, in my opinion, Solomon's the weirdest, and Mbabu's the most boring saga of all time because...
Well, hold on. De Jong to United's pretty boring.
Actually, yeah, I'm not even going to count that as a transfer saga because United, he doesn't want to sign for you. You can't just keep asking him to join. He doesn't want to.
God.
Anyway, but yeah, Mbabu, we've got Peter Utzler, as reliable as they come, telling us that the fee in principle has been agreed a week and a half ago. You've now got Sky Sports, pretty unreliable, saying a different fee has not quite been agreed. You've got Kicker saying a fee's been agreed, but the player doesn't want to come. And
he's looking at other options, yeah.
Yeah, he's looking at other options, but then I don't know what to believe. I'm just going to... One day, he'll either be in a Fulham shirt or he won't. And fingers crossed he is. But there is one new name to talk about today, Jack, which is, and I hope that I'm pronouncing it right, Vinagre. He was at Wolves. He's now at Sporting Lisbon, the same as Polinia. And we've been linked with a loan deal. He is a left back. He played in the left wing back position in a back five for Wolves a few years ago. He was recorded as one of the fastest players in the Premier League at that point. I remember seeing a tweet on it. And I think he was up there with like Timothy Fosu-Mensah, which is just a bit bizarre to think about because I don't think we ever saw it. Yeah. But anyway, Jack, talk to me about this one. I mean, I think we've been linked with a left back and it's all gone a bit quiet. Moreno, Pellegrini, now Vinagre.
Moreno to Forest is a chat as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, do you think that this is still a position we need?
Yes.
And if so, do you think that Vinagre is suitable in terms of how much he upgrades us? Do you think it's a good deal?
Okay, let's look at this objectively. Right now, we can go into the season without a new left back because we've got Robertson and Brighton. Be whatever you think of their ability at playing football, we have two in that position. Therefore, it's not a priority position. And with Vinagre, you've got a player who is probably best suited to a back five when he was at Wolves in the Premier League. He's got Premier League experience. Portuguese, it makes sense. With Marco Silva and Paulinho and the deals we're trying to get done in terms of the Portuguese players. I haven't seen an awful lot of him since he left Wolves at all. What I do know is that I think he was swapping with Johnny, the Spanish player, the left wing back, when he was at Wolves, I think. And I don't know an awful lot about this player. All I know is that he's played for Wolves. He's had Premier League experience. He's a left back. Is he an upgrade on Robinson? Possibly. Is he an upgrade on Brian? I reckon so.
Yeah.
I can't comment too much. I need to do more research into these sort of players. When he was in the Premier League, I probably didn't look at him as close as I probably should have in hindsight. So would you be able to give us some more insight on Vinagre?
Well, it's interesting you say that actually, because I don't know how much research you can do because he hasn't played that much football wherever he's gone. And for Wolves, he really wasn't like putting down consistent appearance numbers. It's a very strange one because obviously you've got the Portuguese connection with Marco Silva and Sporting Lisbon again. It would also be a deal that I'm sure could be done quite quickly if it's a loan. We're also in Portugal at the moment. I mean, I'm sure he could just walk across to Lisbon where we are in a few days and just do a medical there.
The closest hospital, yeah.
I mean, he's very. We had a brief look at his stats earlier, and he was tallying up quite well. Seemed like a good tackler. He's fast, as I've already said, and that means he can get up and down the flank quite well. In terms of his final ball and like end product, I mean, I just don't think there's enough of a sample size to really have an opinion on. But I think he is better than Joe Bryan, based on what I saw briefly at Wolves, based on the fact that Sporting Lisbon wanted to gamble on him. Hasn't worked out quite as well as they wanted, and they're willing to let him go on a loan. But it's definitely a deal I can get behind. And as you say, the left-back position, as much as I do think we could do with another player there and a bit of an upgrade, not the biggest priority. And if we are going to get a loan, I don't mind it being on a left-back.
There was another left-back that Wolves had during that time that he was there, and that was Aït-Nouri, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there must have been a lot of chopping and changing there. That was under Nuno Espirito Santo, wasn't it? When they played that back five system. So, yeah, again, just a player that I might just go and quickly research and see a little bit of clips from. But again, it's a very small sample size, like you said. Anything else? Any more players? Any more worthy mentions before we wrap up? Because honestly, there's been no change. You know, we signed Pereira, but we already knew that the back end of the last video we made. In fact, we were expecting the signing to come that day. I think it came a couple of days afterwards.
Yeah. I really don't think there is. I mean, I think that the permutations are quite clear in that Diop, it's £20 million or we don't get the player. I think that's too much.
Just go elsewhere.
Leno, it seems like it's now £15 million, although that's not as crystal clear because a few sources are different. I still think that's a very suitable price and I'll go for it, but it seems that we are haggling. And from experience with Arsenal in past windows, they're not great at selling players. Maybe we see a bit of a soft spot there, but he's gone on the US tour.
He wants Fulham.
Like he's agreed terms with Fulham according to every source that's reported on the deal. And I think that's the most important thing, that he wants to come to the club. And for that, I think you pay up, quality goalkeeper, big upgrade, get it done. And those are the ones that we're really waiting on. And Babu, it's as clear as mud in terms of the fee, in terms of everything. Cornet is only come across in the last day or so. And Vinagre it sort of broke this morning that there was even a link.
There was a centre-back from Fenerbahce. Did we mention the centre-back from Fenerbahce last time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just weird, isn't it? It's just Turkish press tax because when they link us to someone, I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, Kikir, they said he was on his way for 20 million euros.
Yeah.
He just wasn't. No. So he didn't even mention it at the time. So I don't know if I'm probably going to butcher his name and I feel really bad, but is it Szoboszlai?
Szoboszlai, yeah.
I might be butchering that. I apologise. He played against England, left-sided centre-back. Really impressive. In that game that was at Molineux when they beat us 4-0. And, you know, it's a sort of player that I'd be all for, but the links aren't concrete. And for that reason, I don't know if it's that worth talking about.
I just quickly checked the chat because someone sent a tweet in. It was João Cancelo who's moved to a number 7 for Manchester City, which is not the one we wanted.
I mean, hang on a second. Why? Why is he moved to number 7?
Yeah, number 7 for a right back or / left back /
I'm getting Aruna Kone vibes when he was like number 2 at Everton.
I remember Aruna Kone being number 2 at Everton. That was very funny. Levi Colwill.
Oh, yeah.
Would take him. He's been linked with Palace, but I think Palace are front runners to sign a different centre back now.
Yeah, someone from Munich. Can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Richards,
is it?
Richards? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who remembers last summer when Danny Ings signed for Villa out of absolutely nowhere? No rumours, no links, no nothing. I would love Fulham to just be, 6:00 tonight, announce some brand new signing that no one's ever, some we've heard of but not been linked with. No rumours. Wouldn't that be great? Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. The only thing I can sort of relate that to is when we signed Andre Schürrle. It just came out of absolutely nowhere, and it got done within 24 hours. Thomas Callas as well. That came out of nowhere. Right. In terms of the Jack and Joe show going forward, Wednesday is the day. We now have a set day for a weekly show for the rest of the whole season. That might fluctuate if we go live, depending on, there's a few midweek games. There's deadline days, of course. So yeah, really exciting, Joe, that we've got a fixed day that everyone can enjoy the Jack and Joe show, expect the Jack and Joe show to drop, and that is Wednesday.
Yeah, excited for it. I mean, it's probably because of our schedules. We've always sort of like fluctuated between days.
Yeah,
we've had some people asking, which is obviously it's lovely to hear actually when people ask like, well, when's the show being uploaded? Well, your answer is Wednesday, and if it's not Wednesday, it's probably because nothing's happened. As we're talking about. I doubt that will be the case very much with Fulham. So yeah, Wednesday's the day.
Hopefully this time next week we can talk more rumours and maybe even a couple of signings. We'll obviously reflect on that game that happens on Sunday out in Portugal. And Joe, I know we're not in the league anymore, but it will be 2 days before the championship starts, and we can start rattling through our top six. Maybe not the whole table. Top six and who goes down, not the whole table. Let's do that.
Yeah, and dare I ask where Swansea are going to be in yours? I think there's a spoiler alert. They're going to be quite high up.
Well, I did. Was it 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago? I said I think they're going to go up as champions, and I think there are teams that have probably made more impressive signings. We'll get into it next week.
Yeah.
Give me a week to make that pressurizing decision, please. And then, of course, the following Wednesday we can then rattle through our Premier League predictions as well, and hopefully we'll actually then in 2 weeks' time we will hopefully be doing that Premier League preview show and getting everything organised for that, because that could be quite an exciting drop. Joe Sansom, it's been an absolute pleasure, despite there not being much to talk about in terms of exciting stuff.
Yeah, pleasure, Jack. And hopefully this time next week, there is a little bit more concrete stuff to talk about.
I know it's hard for people watching, but please, I know it's been a bit of a negative 10 days with the ticketing. Try and keep a positive mindset going into the season. We cannot, if we lose 5-0 to Liverpool, we cannot lose our heads. We've got big games to come. Just try and keep it positive. Obviously, Twitter's a bit of a minefield sometimes, given what happens, in friendlies and stuff. But I personally, and I hope Joe as well, we're going to try and keep it very positive here.
Yeah.
Unless it absolutely goes disastrous. Remember 3 games into the season last season, we got Liam on, and it was the big old Fulham 0.
That was 3. Awful.
I can't believe it.
That was awful. I remember I was awful. I'd completely lost my head. I was going on about how the hell Areola's ever played for PSG and stuff like that. And I am sorry, my king. I take it all back.
Yes, it was a very disappointing day. Hopefully we don't see anything like that. Obviously, fans are going to be in the grounds. I'm rattling on for too long. Let's go. Thanks very much for watching. Joe, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and see you next Wednesday.
See you later, guys.